Assalamu alaikum and greetings, my brothers and sisters all over the world, of all faiths, all ideologies, all religions. I hope we are all doing well. This is episode number 6, and I believe in the last episode we did cut like 5 minutes short because my doorbell rang and I had to go open the door. So, thus far, we have reached the first ruku or the first checkpoint of Surah Al Baqarah, which is the first chapter of the Quran, but it was not the first surah revealed. It's not the first chapter. In chronological order, is the first chapter in compilation order. I hope that makes sense. So, you were talking about the three characters introduced by the Quran: the believers, the disbelievers, and those who act like they believe, but their behavior is more like those who disbelieve. So they are neither there or neither here or there. They're in the middle, called the hypocrites. So then I went over a few examples of how Allah uses similes or parables to describe their behavior. The first one was of the parable of the one after a lot of effort they lit a fire, and right when it illumined its surroundings, right when they were able to get warmth and light and guidance from the fire, because of their rigid and inappropriate behavior, Allah took their light away. So even though once they were seeing the light and seeing the guidance and were able to recognize right and wrong, truth from falsehood, they could do that no more. So they were left in the dark unseeing. The other example was of the rainstorm and how that the hypocrites or those who are weak in faith, they put their fingers in their ears whenever they hear truth because it's too much for them. It's overwhelming for them. So, if you can't tolerate something, it's better to just close your ears or close your eyes to it. And the next example is of the lighting, which is equivalent to the light of the Quran or the light of right and wrong, the right of the light of moral choice, and how it was so much for them that it nearly blinded them, meaning that the truth is so much for them that it's overwhelming them and they almost lose their sight. So I'll just read the commentary on this one verse. That was the thing that was left last lecture, okay? So the commentary goes like: when some of the less stubborn hypocrites saw the progress and the miracle of Islam, some inkling of the truth penetrated the darkness of their minds, and at times, in spite of themselves, they took a step in the right direction. But this was momentary. Then lightning flashed and was no more, and they were left lost and bewildered. Note: I'm still reading the commentary. Okay, this is still the commentary. Note: up to this point in the surah, three kinds of people have been mentioned: the believers, the unbelievers, and the hypocrites who pay lip service to faith. Most people fall broadly into one or more of these categories. For the contemporary reader of the Quran, it is important to remember that the large number of verses here and elsewhere relating to the misdeeds and errors of the people of the book, the unbelievers, including the polytheists and the hypocrites, are not mere history. They are timelessly relevant and have a powerful message for each present day reader of the Quran. They concern ourselves in a concrete and direct way. The unbelievers, aka the kafirun, that's the Arabic, the idolaters, the mushrikun, and the hypocrites, the munafiqun, are within each one of us. The similes in the Quran are reflected daily in our souls. The conflict between right and wrong is enacted in all of our moral choices. To move forward in Islam, we have to overcome unbelief and denial, the false gods, and all the devious lures that Satan devises for us. So that concludes the first checkpoint or ruku of Surah Baqarah. We shall move forward, continuing with verse 21. And the surah becomes absolutely beautiful now. And it was beautiful before, but you know what I mean. But O mankind, worship your Lord who created you and those before you, so that you may guard against evil. The word used, guard against evil, Arabic word is tattaqun. I mentioned what taqwa means, right? It means being aware of God, conscious of God, thinking about God. And from that stems that you are constantly analyzing what's right and wrong, what Allah wants you to do, what's right. So that's what taqwa means, right? Note, the word starts with Ya ayyuhan nas. That means O mankind. It's not saying O Muslims, it's not saying O Christians, or it's not saying O Prophet Muhammad, it's not saying O Makkans or Medinians. That's even a word. It's saying O mankind, meaning it's literally referring to every single human being of the Homo sapiens species. If you claim to be a human, then this verse applies to you. Okay, worship your Lord who created you and those before you, so that you may guard against evil. Now, the word worship does not mean salah. Okay, salah means prayer, the obligatory five prayers. Worship is not salah. Okay, there are two different words. The word used here is arbudu. Okay, ya ayuhan nasu badu. Okay, it's like arbudu, abd. That means like servant, servitude, slavery. So it means become devoted servants of God. But what does that mean? A devoted servant is one who does not refuse any command given by its master. That's what it means. Okay, if you have, if you have like, if you're from the Indo-Pak subcontinent and you have like, chauffeurs, you have drivers, you have maids, you have cooks. You would say, oh, this is a good servant. You tell them, I want like chicken biryani at 8 p.m. and I want to make it not spicy. I want, I want some yogurt raita with it. I want some salad with it. And he puts it on at 7:55. He's like, it's all ready for you. You'll be like, oh, this is a good servant. He listened to my command. Now, for example, you told him make biryani, and he made, for example, he made like pizza or like cheeseburger or something. You'd be like, homie, that's not what I asked for. You're not a good servant. You're not worshiping me. Okay. So yeah. Back to the Quran, verse 22. Who has made the earth a resting place for you, and the heaven a canopy, a roof, a covering, and has sent down water from the skies to bring forth fruits for your sustenance. So do not set up others as equals to Allah when you know. So He is the one who has made the earth a resting place for us. The word used is firasha. In Urdu, we say farsh, right? We say floor. So He's made the earth a floor. Okay, imagine the earth was not stable, and every time you walk, it's like you're on the moon. Like you take a step forward and you start like jumping in the air or something. And the heaven is a covering. So the roof is a sky basically. It's like a covering, a blanket, and has sent down water from the skies to bring forth fruits for your sustenance. Okay, so yeah, we know how agriculture depends upon rainfall. Okay, if you have artificial irrigation, that water you use artificially is derived from rivers, ponds, springs, wells. Where does that water come from? These rivers, springs, wells? It comes from the rain. Okay, so you can't say, oh, we use artificial irrigation, we don't need Allah anymore, we don't need rain anymore. Bruv, where do you think those wells came from? Where do you think the underwater supply came from? It came from rain. It came from rain. So use your brain. So, and then Allah says, so do not take with Allah others as equal to Him. God is saying that He made the earth, He made the heaven, and He sends down rain, and He brings forth foods for your sustenance. The word uses risk, okay? Risk. That's sustenance. If you and I go to work, technically that's our sustenance, right? So we are going to work to get a risk. Allah is saying He provides a risk, but don't set up equals with Him. That doesn't mean you go to your boss and you say fuck off or something. It means like at the back of your mind, it's actually God who is providing you with the ability, the mental capacity to, fulfill the obligations that you have at work, so you are able to receive a salary so you can feed yourself. Okay. And now look at this verse. And if you are in doubt concerning that which we have revealed to our servant, then bring a surah like it and call upon your supporters besides Allah if you are truthful. So this is a challenge 1400 years back and it's still valid. So if any one of us are in doubt, concerning did Muhammad receive the Quran? Did Muhammad copy the former scriptures? Did he edit them? Did he have somebody, a learned scholar living with him in hiding in the basement, dictating to him all of the knowledge of the unseen that we will surely and soon enough go through. So Allah is saying that if you think this is not the truth, then bring one chapter like it. Okay, sure, Surah Baqarah is like a huge chapter. It has like 270 plus verses. But there are many chapters in the end, especially the initial surahs, the initial chapters revealed to Muhammad in Makkah. They're like 4 or 5 verses long. One is even 3 verses long. So Allah is saying, just bring one surah like it. Just bring it. If you think you are big man, if you think you are, you're a philosopher, you're a poet, you think you're very smart, literature-wise, you think you're Shakespeare, bring one surah like it. And God is saying, call upon anyone besides Allah. Could be jinn, could be mankind, could be philosophers of the West, it could be Aristotle, it could be Plato, it could be Pythagoras, it could be anybody. Bring anyone and bring a surah like it if you are truthful. And so let's read the commentary of this verse. Seems to be quite long, so I guess it'll be important. Okay, so commentary of this verse. A specific and very common belief of unbelievers has been dealt with here: the obdurate denial of the divine origin of the Quran. Such people are told that there is a sure way to still their doubts. If they think that this book is a product of the human mind, they should then try to create just one surah of equal excellence and call upon your supporters besides Allah if you are truthful. So, for this purpose, the pagan Arabs are told that they may call upon whoever they like of their great poets, invoke their gods for aid, they and all the helpers all together. And if they all fail to come up with even one surah, then they must concede that this is a word of Allah. Look, very logical argument. Okay, very logical argument. I claim that I'm the best. For example, I'm not, but I'm just saying. I walk into the hospital. I say I'm the best doctor here. Okay, and I'll be like, okay, fine. As a challenge, I'll be like, give me any patient case and I'll solve it. Okay, and then I'll be like, hey, you guys try and solve it. And if they can't solve it and I can solve it, that means I am actually the best doctor there or whatever. So it's like a logical challenge. Okay, but yeah, and the challenge still stands. Back to the commentary. But for the Arabs of that day, it had irresistible logic and force. They were convinced of the superiority of Arabic over all other languages of mankind. They used the word ajmi, which means dumb, for all non-Arab people. The poetry of the pagan Arabs was a repository of their history, their traditions, their culture, and their literary skill. I told you they used to like sit in gatherings, talk about the ancestors, talk about wars and stuff like that. Poets therefore had a high stature in society. Like now we have, astrophysicists, like chemical engineers or doctors of medicine, like myself, right? Society holds us in high regard. At that time, poets were held in high regard. Okay, they were the bearers of knowledge at that time. So all important events of tribal life started with poetic commentary and exhortation. For the pagan Arabs, then the surpassing literacy excellence of the Quran was an undeniable fact. There was no way that they could overlook it or play it down its significance. The question which the Quran posed to them here must have arisen in their minds time and time again. Could the matchless language and unique contents of this book be the work of a mortal, especially one who was illiterate, meaning did not receive formal education? He could not read or write. Okay? So, to learn about all the events that we will read about, the creation of the earth, the history of the Jews, all the prophets and their stories, like I know this because I'm able to read. So I read the Quran and the other like books of reference, like books written by various scholars. That's why I've educated myself, so I can tell you guys that I know this because I read it. I was fortunate enough to be taught how to learn and write. I'm educated, so I can do this. But the Prophet was not educated, so either somebody was living with him 24/7 and telling him what to do. But even then, understand that the Prophet received the revelation sometimes when he was in public. Okay, like he was sitting, chilling, talking, doing whatever, and the angel would come and he would receive a revelation and he would recite it there and then. So if there was somebody telling him what to say, what to do, he would carry him around with him, and then people would say, "Here, this is you have a teacher with you who's telling you what to do. You're not a prophet." But out of nowhere, in front of thousands of people, he would come up with knowledge which nobody knew about there. So indicating he received the revelation, right? There's no denying that. This point is made with variations elsewhere in the Quran. Back to the commentary. The pagan Arabs would allege, for instance, that the Prophet had secret advisors who would narrate to him those historical facts which he could not possibly have obtained from Arab sources. The Arabs didn't know about, they knew about Abraham, sure, but they didn't know about the other lineage of Abraham. Abraham had two sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Okay, Ishmael was settled in Arabia, so they knew all about his family and all of his deeds. But Isaac was in Palestine. Okay, so all the prophets from Isaac's line, the prophets of the Old Testament, how could they know about them, right? It's just like people in China knowing about what's happening in back then, like people in China knowing what's happening in Africa, in the African jungles. They have no freaking idea, right? So in fact, the Quran is an uncomfortable enigma for non-Arab believers also, who have been exposed to it to this day. What is the source of his supercharged style, the brilliance of his imagery, its power to transform hearts? How did the Prophet get hold of all that history, which extends far beyond the biblical narratives? Those of us who have read what modern scholars have to say on this topic are aware of the diverse and absurd theories which they have devised to explain the Quran and the linked mystery of the Prophet of Muhammad. The uniqueness of the Quran is clearly demonstrated by the patent inadequacy of any translation to come near the original. whereas in the case of Arab and other poetry, translation can transmit some flavor of the original. So as I mentioned, like on my first 1, 2, 3, 4 reads, I was reading only the English translation. Okay, I wasn't focusing on the Arabic because the point is to understand the message, and I speak, think, dream, abuse everything in English, right? That's my formal language. So the point is to understand the message. Once you have understood the message, then you can go on to have enjoy the literal power of the Quran, as in like its literature, its Arabic language, its rhythm, its words, its flow, stuff like that. That's not the primary objective. But once we have read the meaning, we have read multiple commentaries, translations, you know what the content of the Quran is, then you can start deriving pleasure through it's like literacy, it's grammar and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, so back to the Quran and the next verse. So as the verse was, and if you are in doubt concerning which you have revealed to your prophet, then bring a surah like it and call upon anyone you want besides Allah if you are truthful. Back to the Quran. But if you do not, and never shall you do it, then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, prepared for the disbelievers. So God is saying, if you do not, if you can't bring a surah like it, and God is saying, never shall you do it. Never. This Quran was revealed 1400 years back. Never means till the day of judgment. Look at us now, so technology advanced. We are fucking like creating cells. We are like doing transplants. We are doing all sorts of things, right? We have unlocked a lot of medicine. We have able to reach the moon, stuff like that, but nobody can produce one chapter like it. Okay, and so yeah, and back to the Quran, and give good tidings to those who believe and do righteous deeds, that for them are gardens beneath which rivers flow. Whenever they are given of its fruits, they will say, "This is what we was. This is what was given to us before." And they shall be given its resemblance, and there shall be pure companions for them, and there they shall abide forever. So God is saying that for those who believe and do righteous deeds, tell them that there are for them gardens underneath which rivers flow. So imagine all of us, all human beings, we love like big beautiful gardens, the greenery, springs flowing, hearing the sound of water trickling, beautiful fields, trees. So God is saying, God is promising us these things. Okay. Now, it could be that paradise is actually what God is describing literally in the Quran, with like gardens and rivers and big trees and shades and fruits, or it could be that God is just giving us an incentive to like give us an image with our worldly minds as to what everybody likes, because maybe paradise is so abstract, so hard to comprehend that it'll be impossible to describe. So God is just describing it in the way that would make sense to even the most educated person who's rocket scientist, or even like somebody who's like like a farmer, right? Everybody likes gardens, everybody likes rivers. Okay, so whenever they're given of its fruits, they will say, this is what was given to us before. Meaning they will say, what? How we were, this is what we had in the earthly life, in the worldly life. How is it possible to get the same fruit in the hereafter? How is that possible, right? So God is saying, they shall be given its resemblance. It won't be the same. It's going to be the fruit of paradise, but it be resembling the same fruit. So it triggers memories of nostalgia of their earthly life. Whenever you have something you had before, like for example, like there was like like a biscuit back in the day in Pakistan. It was called Munna biscuit. Okay, now it's called a Gluco biscuit. Now it's probably called Gluco biscuit. Yeah. So like whenever I see it, I think of my childhood. I feel happy. I remember my childhood. I take a bite. I remember the taste. It makes me feel good. So eating things, drinking things you had some time ago which you forgot about, it triggers good memories. So maybe this is what God is saying. I don't know. This is my interpretation of it. There's no commentary on this verse. And there shall be pure companions for them. The word uses azwajum mutahara. Azwaj means companion, mate, and mutahara means pure, like pure. And there they shall abide forever. And next verse, indeed Allah is not ashamed to set forth a parable, once again the simile, that of a gnat. Gnat is a mosquito or a fly or something even more insignificant. As for those who believe, they know it is a truth from their Lord, and as for those who disbelieve, they say, what did Allah desire by this parable? He causes many to stray by it, and He leads many aright by it, and He causes none to stray by it except those who are the fasik, the sinners. So basically, there's some background about this verse. So let's read the commentary, then I'll give you my 2 cents about this. Okay, so the commentary goes like, When the unbelievers realized that they could not produce any verses to compare with the Quran, they devised an argument to show that it could not be the word of God. How could Allah stoop to trivial similes as can be found in the Quran, such as those referring to the fly and the spider? Caveat. The Quran actually has like entire surah called Surah Ankabut. Ankabut means spider in Arabic. It has a surah called Al-Nahl. Nahl means honeybee. And Quran mentions dogs. Quran mentions by name. Okay, it mentions dogs. It mentions donkeys. It mentions horses. It mentions lions. You know, in of course different contexts. I'm not trying to paint like a safari jungle picture to you. That's not what the Quran is doing. There's a context to all of these animals, and I'll point it out when it comes. And then mosquito, fly, spider. So the reply is that Allah does not disdain to even use a smaller creature than these, such as a mosquito, for his figures of speech. The real purpose of this similitudes is to illuminate some great truth so that it becomes evident even to the average intelligence. If the purpose of a similitude is achieved, then to cavil at its contents shows prejudice and animosity. Religious scriptures are full of figures of speech, parables, in brackets. In fact, these are some of the most moving and memorable parts of divine revelation, which we'll come to, and you will agree with me that some metaphors are beautiful. The Holy Prophet himself quite often used such similes. For instance, he compared the worth of the world to the wing of a mosquito. I mentioned this in the other episode that if God valued this worldly existence more or equivalent to the wing of a mosquito, he would not give the disbelievers even a drop of water. Okay? And so those who are firm in faith feel the force and aptness of a simile, whereas the unbelievers say contemptuously that if this was the word of Allah, what could Allah mean by such likenesses? Like, why would God stoop so low? This is God, the Most High. Why would He talk about flies? Why would He use this book, which has a limited number of words, to talk about flies? God is saying basically that He's not afraid to use any metaphor, any similes. After all, He created the fly, which is looked down upon, and He created mankind, which is we are the greatest creation, right? Clearly we are in control of the universe, of the earth, at least, or that's what we think, at least. So God is saying that He created the fly, He created you, He can use whatever metaphor He wants. The point is to convey a meaning. So those who believe know that makes sense, right? It's the creator, He created the fly, He created human beings, He created the sky and the heavens, He can do whatever the fuck He wants, right? But disbelievers, they take this as like a point. Say, oh Muhammad, you are making this up. God would never use a fly example because God is too high, He's too pure. That's the ideology in this verse. So let's go to the next verse. Those who break the covenant of Allah after its confirmation and who cut what Allah has commanded to be joined and sow corruption in the earth, it is they who are the losers. So who are the losers? 3 attributes. Those who break the ahad Allah, like ahad, when we say in Urdu, usse ahad le lo, like to take a promise, take a firm binding promise from that person. And those who break the covenant of Allah after its confirmation. This could literally mean when you say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, you're entering into a covenant of Islam, you're saying there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is a messenger. There is no God but Allah, meaning there is no one worthy of worship besides Allah. There is no one worthy of being a servant of Allah and you are serving other people. That does not mean you don't go to work. That means you don't attribute all of your worldly needs to a human being. That this person controls my life because he's my boss. He controls my life. He controls my wealth. He controls. If he stops giving me money, I will die. I won't be able to get food. I won't be able to shelter myself. God is saying no. There's only God who is worthy of worship, okay? And Muhammad Rasulullah, Muhammad is the messenger of God. If you are saying that Muhammad is the messenger of God, so you are saying that he has brought a message. And he has brought a message from God. So he is a messenger of God. So if he is a messenger, you need to listen to his message, you need to read his message and act on his message. If you would say Muhammad is only the messenger, okay. You don't know messenger of what, so there is room for uncertainty, room for doubt. But you're saying yourself, he's a messenger of God. He has brought a message from God. So read that message and believe in it, bruv. That's quite logical. And who cut what Allah has commanded to be joined. This refers to, family ties, for example. Like everywhere in the Quran, God will mention first, He will say, worship only God. Don't associate anybody with Allah. Then He will say, be good to your parents. In sequence, in order of importance. Then He will say, maintain the family ties. Do good to those who are blood relations. The qurba. Because there are 2 things in this world that you do not have the conscious ability to choose. when you are born. Number one, what your name is, and number two, who your family is, right? You don't get to choose, oh, I want to be the son of this man and this woman, right? You were just born, and you are, of course, and you have blood relations without your approval, without your consent, through your mother, through your father, like cousins, like uncles, aunts, stuff like that. So to do good by your blood relation means that you have submitted that this is God, He chose this family for me, so I will do right by them in order to honor God's, like His will. This was His will. I'm born in this family. I have that cousin. I have this cousin. I have that aunt. God's will. I had no role in this. Okay, so I will honor God by honoring them. That's what it means. And so corruption in the earth, so corruption in the earth. What does this mean? The surah started off with a similar verse. Any attempt to hinder the truth, what's right. It could mean that, for example, like there are demonstrations or protests against, like leaders in authority, like presidents, prime ministers, judges, vagera, all of that. And there's like a peaceful protest going on. We want rights, and like the people inside those palaces, in those white houses, in those princely houses, they send their army. They say, okay, go and like kill them all, or like throw like the gas bombs, or like bring out the water pipes and remove this, take away this protest. That's showing corruption in the earth, right? There's the people who have gathered together to raise awareness, to stand up for what's right, and you are hindering that. You are removing them. You are like using violence. You are using you're scaring them from their lives, and you are showing corruption. You are allowing oppression and injustice, maybe if it's perpetrated by yourself or by other people, and you are allowing it to flourish by hindering those who are standing up for the truth. So that's what it means. So let's see what the commentary says for this verse. The commentary says, it's quoting one part of the verse. It says, who cut what Allah has commanded to be joined. And now it's commenting, such as severing of blood ties and ties of compassion between human beings, and turning away from the path of the prophets and the righteous, and shunning prayer and other good deeds. So for sowing corruption, it says, corruption here includes inducing people to despise Islam and its tenets, and persuading the enemies of Islam to come out in open opposition. This is happening all over the world. We're claiming that Islam is oppressing women. It's like being barbaric. It's we Islam is associated with terrorism and like suicide bombers, and we sell out where people start saying, oh, we're gonna die. It's not like that, right? So like this is what the media is doing, right? If you're a true Muslim, even if somebody is violent, oppressive to you, you would understand in your mind that this is somebody who Allah has not chosen to guide. So instead of beating him up or killing him, you would say, my brother, my sister, at least hear what I have to say. This is a message of God. Hear it, listen to it, try to understand it, and then if you don't want to believe, you can go your way. This is what a true Muslim does. This is what the Prophet did. He didn't go. There were, of course, he had for 13 years in Makkah when he was a prophet and he received revelation. Nobody believed him. He had like 100, 200 followers max. Okay, everybody, his own uncles, his own cousins, his own extended family, they rejected him. But he didn't go and kill them or say Allah Akbar and destroy them, or like go to the Kaaba and like blow himself up. He didn't do any of that, right? So like the media is, of course, like Islam is the one thing, which is a threat to, like the injustice, the materialism, the secularism in the world. It truly is. If you truly understand what Islam is and its true message, you'll agree with me. Right now we're just starting off, so I'm not expecting anybody to agree with me or understand a word of what that means. But in essence, what this means is to like create like a false image, a negative image of Islam in the eyes of even those who would want to like at least read about Islam. So if I go in society, if I say read the Quran with me, or I am a Muslim, listen to me, they'll immediately like this is what their minds have been trained into thinking. They've been brainwashed. Oh, he's a terrorist, or no, he has radical ideas, or no, he's a women oppressor, or no, he's a jihad monger. Jihad actually means to struggle against oneself. The Arabic word jihad in the Quran, wherever it's used in the Quran, is referring to struggling with oneself. I see a beautiful woman. I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I want to keep looking at her. And then the thoughts come, oh, if only I could have a phone number. Or should I go say hi to her? And then you think about the events that come after. Or you wake up in the morning, it's time for prayer. It's a beautiful cold, it's cold outside. Your nice warm blanket snuggling in. The thought comes, I need to get up right now, go to the bathroom, wash myself and then pray. Or I can just turn around in bed, turn my pillow on the other way and then go to sleep. Or it could be that you're eating a great meal and right outside you see like a poor man like on the window, just like knocking and saying give me food also. The initial impulse comes, fuck this dude, it's my money, I worked hard, I'm gonna eat this burger. But then to struggle against oneself, in the first instance you see that woman, you say no, 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 lower your eyes, ask Allah for refuge against Satan and stop thinking about it. It's very, very hard. Tell me how many of you are able to do that. Come on, you all of you. I had done it. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying I try harder than you. Okay, so Allah has helped me because I have sought His guidance and I have obeyed His commands. Where are His commands? In this book. You read the book, you understand the book, you act on it. Eventually, you start. It becomes second nature. It becomes second nature. You feel that you are being guided because your life turns around. All of your weaknesses become your greatest strengths. Allah helps you overcome all of your weaknesses. People start loving you, your life becomes easy, there's no stress, there's no anxiety. Then you are convinced it is the truth. Then you say, okay, if this impacted my life positively, it is my duty to help my other fellow brothers and sisters. This is what I'm doing here right now. Okay, it's 2:30 a.m. I have work at 6:30 a.m. Okay, and I have to eat food right now also. I could be sleeping right now, but here I am making this episode because it's the fucking truth. Please believe me, or give me a chance to at least convince you. So yeah. So next verse, God says, how do you deny Allah, seeing that you were dead and He gave you life? Again He will cause you to die and again bring you to life, and then to Him you will be returned. So straight up, this is quite logical. Allah is saying, how can you deny Allah, seeing that you were dead? What were we? We were a product of our father's sperm and our mother's egg meeting in some part of the mother's uterus, becoming fertilized, becoming one cell, then let's call it zygote, then becoming couple of cells. Cell division happens. You are a morula, you are a blastocyst, you become a trigeminal layer. The three germ cells, three layers become. One is a mesoderm, endoderm, ectoderm. Ectoderm forms a skeleton, mesoderm forms the connective tissue, the muscles, the blood supply of the body, and the endoderm forms like the GI system or the lungs, the trachea or the windpipe. So we were like that. You were dead, right? You're not dead means in the context here that you were not aware. You didn't know that. I'm three cells in my mom's body, and I'm growing one arm like this. My heart is developing, my eyes are developing. You had no fucking idea what's going on, right? You weren't conscious, you weren't aware. So Allah is saying you were dead and He gave you life. You were born. And even in the first few months of childhood, even like years of childhood, you're not really conscious, you're not really aware what's going on. Your mom feeds you, you cry, you poop in your pants, you pee everywhere, you're crying like shit. You're not aware of those things. Like I personally don't remember a lot of my childhood. I would say like till like 10th grade, I most of the events of my life, they seemed like a blur. Like it was like child's play, it was like horse play. And after 10th grade, I started becoming like conscious, aware. Oh my god, my actions, impact the world around me and people around me. It's not only, anyway, that's not relevant right now, I guess. So Allah is saying, and you were dead, you were nothing, and He gave you life, and then again, He will cause you to die. Everybody dies. The one thing everybody agrees on, of all religions of the world, of all ideologies, all cultures, is that you die. Every religion, every country, every country in the world, has different kinds of food. It has, like different cultural activities, different whatever. But everybody knows that when the elders die, or when anybody dies, it could be a youth also, they go on the ground. Everybody knows people die, okay? God is saying again, He will cause you to die and again bring you to life. What is this? The day of judgment. It's not YOLO, you only live once, party it up, bro, work on the weekdays, like work hard, play hard, no consequences. That's bullshit. That makes no sense. The Look at nature, okay? It's so organized. Every day the sun comes up, every day night follows it. Every season we have similar, like patterns, like springtime, vegetation lushes, fall time it starts falling off, of course. There's a controlled, calculated, like cause and effect relationship in nature, but only for mankind, things don't make any sense. The person who is truthful, he gets called names, he gets fired from his job, he gets put in jail. But those who lie, those who are good at sucking up, those who are good at hiding the truth, they are world leaders, they are, in position, everybody loves them. That makes no sense, okay? That makes absolutely no sense. The person who actually works hard, tries making a living, honest living, they don't make enough to have a good life. But those who are cheating, embezzling, doing fraud, backbiting, all of these things, lying, manipulating, they're billionaires. That makes no sense. There needs to be, if nature is so well organized and just and in harmony, it makes no sense that all we do is just we come here 50 years, 60 years, and from those 50 years, I told you, like 10th grade, that's like what, 10th grade is like what, 13 years. Yeah, so like till the age of 15, you don't know what the hell is going on, why you are created, what's your purpose in life, and then you die at 60 or 65. So like 45 years, is that all we are created for? We come here 45 years, we work hard, we fuck, we eat, we sleep, we poop, we pee, and we have no consequences. We won't be raised, God won't judge. He has sent down the messengers who worked really hard to deliver the message. They were beaten, they were killed, they were stoned, they were exiled, they suffered a lot of pain. So God chose them and for them a high ranks. That's how God rewards people who do His work for Him. And God has sent multiple books. Why, bro? Come on, like think about it. You think God is like stupid? He has nothing better to do than to like send books down when there's no need to have a judgment day? Come on, man. Just think logically. And to Him you will be returned. After being returned to life, a day of judgment for sure. You are standing before God and then heaven and hell. But the second you die in this world, technically you are returned to Him, right? You become conscious, you become aware of the unseen, of the other aspect of existence we can't see right now. The angels, heaven, hell, accountability, it all starts the moment you die, okay? So, yeah, next verse. He it is who created for you all that is in the heavens. Then He turned to the heavens and fashioned them into seven heavens. And He alone is the knower of all things. So God is saying that He has created for you. He has created for you. Who is me? Not me. He means like mankind, who this Quran is revealed for, okay? And the jinn kind, but right now specifically to mankind. He it is, God is saying He created for you all that is in the earth. Think about it, bro. Think about this, okay? God created the sun and the moon. God says elsewhere that He created the sun and the sun to give us light in the day so we can go about and we can find our sustenance, okay? In the night time, God says it's like for coolness, it's for relaxation. Imagine the sun was out every single, all 24/7. Would you be able to sleep? You would say, yeah, I live in a penthouse, bro. I have blinds, bro. I can block out the sunlight, bro. But the majority of people don't live in penthouses. Majority of people are poor as shit and they're living on the streets or they're living in like mud houses, okay? So no, they can't block the sun when it comes to them. So if there's only sunlight, they won't be able to sleep. If there's only night time, you won't be able to go to work. You will say, oh my car has high beams, bro. It has HID lights, bro. I can drive anywhere. Okay, but that's you. Majority of people are not like that. The food you eat, the burgers you eat, the vegetables you eat, who grows them? The farmers. Of course they don't grow cows, but you know what I mean, right? They take care of them, stuff like that. If there was no light, there was no sunlight, there would be no growth of vegetation, right? Photosynthesis, you know how it works. If there was no light, the farmers could not go put the seeds down and eventually go and take the harvest out. God has created all the elements to support natural life. Think about this, bruv. Cows, camels, horses. How convenient is it that we can ride on their back and be transported to everywhere? From the cow, we get milk. From the cow, we get meat, or camels or goats in that regard. From the skin, we get clothing. From their leather, we get clothing. From their leather, we get tents. We can literally eat, drink, be transported, wear clothes, and have shelter from one fucking animal. Just think about that. Everything is created for us. Have you noticed that, like, cats amongst each other will fight like crazy, but cats will love human beings? Like, if you have a pet cat, you know how it is. If you dogs will bark at each other, but they will become loyal to the court, to human beings. Similarly, he has created the oceans, he has created multiple fish. For what, bruv? We go there, we put one fishing rod, we get multiple fish, we eat that. In the ocean are corals, rubies, pearls. For what? You think like the killer whales will wear their corals and be like, oh, look at me, I'm a cool killer whale. No, bro, it's for you. Allah has hidden that for you, right? Similarly, everything that happens in the world is for mankind, it's for human beings. So God is saying it is He who created everything that is in the earth for you. Then He turned to the heavens. The word uses summa. Okay, now this is important. We will discuss how the Quran talks about the creation of the world, heavens, evolution, creation of mankind. Literally coming up in the next chapter is the story of Adam and Eve. Okay, our ancestors. So God is saying that He created for us all that is in the earth. Okay, then He turned to the heavens and fashioned them into seven heavens. Now, this topic will be repeated in other surahs also, so I will tie it then by introducing it now. God is not saying that He first created the earth, then He created the heavens. God is saying He created for you all that is in the earth, then He turned to the heavens. Meaning, the earth and the heavens were like substrates. They weren't in its final developed form that they are right now. So first God turned to the raw substrate of the earth. It could be a flat stretch of land. It could be, like whatever it was. I was not there. You weren't there. But I will tell you my theory later on when I can, like summarize all of what God, how God talks about heaven and earth, and then sum it up. So God here is saying, He it is who created for us, meaning mankind, all that is in the earth. Then He turned to the heavens. It means that the earth and heavens were already created before the finalization, the final touches of the earth and the heaven. So God mentions later on, I'm just, spoiler alert, God mentions that the heavens meaning the sky, okay? Heaven does not mean paradise. The word used for that is Jannat, okay? Like Jannat. The word used for heavens, like the sky, is used sama, like asma, we say in Urdu, okay, asman acha laga, that means sky. So sama means one, like singular sky. Samawat means multiple, like layers of skies, like layers of the atmosphere, for example. Maybe it could mean that like seven heavens refers to like seven atmospheric layers. Could be, I'm not sure, but like to the best of my knowledge, what I think after my study is that like the bound of like the first heaven, like the first, the first sky extends till the entire universe that we can perceive, like till like the boundaries of space and time. Like that is the first heaven, the first sky. And then after that, God is saying a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. God is saying. So my belief is the Earth, as well as all the other planets, all the other Milky Way, all the other galaxies, like they're literally the extent of space. Like if you were to get into a spaceship and like fucking like keep on going till like the end of time or something, like the moment you reach, like speaking theoretically, of course, you reach the borders or the confines of space, you can't go further. That's the first heaven. There are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more. Okay, and if anything, you probably read the news and stuff more than me. I don't get much time because I'm focusing on my work and my physical health, my mental health, and religion. Okay, so like you know that like astrophysicists, science, NASA, stuff like that, all they do is like they every day they find out that the universe is expanding or it's larger than they ever thought, and they find new galaxies and they find new stars, stuff like that. Okay, so God is saying that He created all that is in the earth, meaning the earth was first like nothing. It was like a stretch of land. I don't know, it could be full of water or it could be just barren, dry, whatever. And then He created everything in the earth. Now, of course, it's not that He said Bala and it was. Of course, it happened through like natural processes, natural sequences of events, evolution of the earth. First there was nothing, then water came. Water mixed with the earth. Like carbon was created. Like from that evaporation took place. So like carbon dioxide came in the air, and like for example, like the gases split up. There was oxygen, there was hydrogen, and then these two mixed, formed H2O, from water fell on the sky, and water mixed with like the earth. It formed like it formed mud, which is like a carbon compound basically. And from that, like the first signs of life are created. Like when we say the word organic life, organic means containing carbon. Remember chemistry? I sucked at chemistry. I don't know how I don't know how the frick I got an A in my A levels in chemistry, but like organic compounds by definition means they contain carbon. Okay, so carbon is created by a mixture of couple of things, right? So anyway, God is saying there was a substrate of heaven, substrate of earth. First, He completed the earth. Okay, so my understanding is that like the earth, there was like water and carbon, and from the evaporation took place, and then the gases came in the atmosphere, and then by their weight, by their level of diffusion, they separated into levels of atmosphere. Like for example, like I don't know the exact sequence, okay, like the lighter gases like nitrogen, whatever, hydrogen being lower and the heavy gases going above, and such forming seven heavens. I don't know. My brothers who are studying physics and astronomy or whatever, like you are better in the position to reflect on this and like try to reconcile what Allah is saying and what physics is saying, and then come to the conclusion and tell me about it also. So God is saying first he finished whatever was in the earth, then he turned to the heavens when it was just in a gaseous state, and then he fashioned them into seven heavens. So the first word used is Huwallazi khalaqa lakum ma fil ard, meaning he created for you whatever is in the earth. And then for the heavens he says ila samai fasawwahunna sab'a samati, matlab ke it means that fasawwa, that means like fashion, like it means like finishing touches, that's what it means. And sab'a samawat means seven heavens, okay. And in the final verse says wahuwa bikulli shay'in alim, it is he alone who knows absolutely everything. So this is probably indicating towards the fact that if like even till this day and age we have succeeded so much in like sciences like biology, chemistry, physics. So maybe we are able to reconcile what this verse means and reconcile and say, okay, this this agrees with what modern science says. But Allah is indicating that it is him alone who knows knower of all things, meaning there is a limit to our knowledge, but it is only God who knows the true sequence of events that unfolded in the creation of the heavens and the earth. And there is a limit to the level of knowledge that we can attain. Maybe that's what God's hinting here, I'm not sure. And is there a commentary on this verse? There is no commentary on this verse. So I think it's reached 47 minutes. I'll probably try to wrap up at 45 minutes going forward in our lectures. I think my last lecture was 40 minutes. I think it was better for all of us. We saved 20 minutes of your time, my time. So next verse starts with Surah 30. We have finished the second checkpoint of this surah. Second checkpoint meaning second ruku. We start with verse 30. Next lecture is great. It's great fun coming up. God will talk about the creation of Adam and Eve and how mankind were, how man was created to be the viceroy or representative of God on heaven, on earth. And so we will continue with that story inshallah next episode. Thank you for listening, and I know may God forgive me and may God help me to be more clear in my speech. And I hope some of what I'm saying is making sense to you guys. And if it's not, if there's any feedback you guys have, just hit me up on YouTube if that's possible. Write a comment or message me on Facebook. Tell me whatever you think about what I'm saying. If you agree with me, if you want to know more, if you would like to discuss things, hit me up. This is the purpose of my life. I go to work because I need to go to work so I can sustain myself in this life, so I can live, I can eat, I can clothe myself, I can start my own family, I can support my parents, stuff like that. But this is my real interest in life. It's like learn about God, learn about the truth. First of all, understand it, then practice it, and then spread it around. So anytime you have any questions regarding this, you feel like you're interested, you want to know more, hit me up. I would be happy to take out time to talk to you personally one-to-one. Okay, so take care, all the best, have a good night.